When I woke up, I had been transmigrated to the Great Northern Wilderness in 1976. Lying on a broken Kong covered in patches upon patches, I nearly cursed out loud. But when I bashed a rabbit to death with a brick, a space suddenly popped into my head, packed with 100 neatly stacked rabbits. I laughed. In this era, with this kind of skill, how could I, Zhao Tianliang, ever starve? When I came to, harsh daylight streamed through the holes in the thatched roof, stinging my eyes. It took me a long moment to steady myself before I realized I was lying on a hard Kong, with a thin layer of straw underneath and a patch-layered quilt on top, reeking of an indescribable musty smell. In the corner sat a wobbly wooden table with a kerosene lamp on it, and on the wall hung a straw rain cape and a portrait of the great leader. My head buzzed. Just last night, I had been sleeping in a modern house of concrete and steel, yet now I was lying here in a shabby room straight out of a period drama. I wasn't dreaming, nor had I been prank dumped at a film studio. I had truly transmigrated. September 22nd, 1976. The Great Northern Wilderness. I wanted to curse right then and there. The spring breeze of reform was nowhere in sight, and I'd landed right in this toughest stretch. I couldn't get enough to eat or keep warm, and I didn't even have an identity. I was racking my brains when footsteps sounded outside, and two men pushed the door open. The one with a dark face and a loud voice was the production team leader. Li Hongbing, the tall, thin man with black-rimmed glasses, was the village accountant, surnamed Lu. They said they'd found me by the river and asked which sent-down youth I was and where I'd come from. What could I say? I held my head and pretended to have amnesia. I said my head ached, and I couldn't remember anything except that my name was Zhao Tianliang. They weren't too suspicious. Seeing that I was cleanly dressed with fair skin, they concluded I was a city kid whose head had gone wrong after falling into the water. Li Hongbing patted my shoulder. He said I should stay in the village for now, and they'd later make inquiries on my behalf. With that, the two went back to the next room to talk it over. I sat on the edge of the Kong, listening to their lowered voices through the wall. Accountant Lu wanted to keep me around, saying he meant to fix me up with a relative's daughter. The girl was pretty, but in poor health and unable to bear children, so no one in the village was willing to marry her. Li Hongbing slammed the table on the spot, saying we couldn't push the kid into a fire pit. My heart warmed at that. This team leader was a solid man. Just as I was wondering what to do next, a rustling sound came from the corner, and a gray figure shot out of the straw pile. My body moved faster than my mind. I snatched up a broken half-brick from the ground and hurled it. Thud! The gray figure crumpled to the ground. I went over to look. It was a wild rabbit, a half-chewed withered vegetable leaf still in its mouth. Just as I bent down to lift it by the ears, my mind exploded with a bang. A transparent, bubble-shaped space unfolded in my consciousness. Inside, rabbits were stacked in neat rows. I counted them a full 100. Hundredfold critical harvest. Those 5 words surfaced in my mind on their own. Anything I killed with my own hands would multiply 100-fold when put into the space. I squatted on the ground, stunned for a long while, my heart pounding like a drum. I knew exactly what rabbit meat meant in this era. The way Li Hongbing and the others had looked at that rabbit just now was like they'd seen gold. Footsteps from the next room sounded again. Li Hongbing pushed the door open, saw me crouching on the ground, then looked at the rabbit and the broken bricks, and his eyes brightened at once. "Comrade Zhao, this rabbit, did you kill it?" I nodded. He came over, glanced at the rabbit's wound, one clean kill, and clicked his tongue twice. "You've got real skill, kid." Accountant Lu also crowded in, rubbing his hands, saying there'd be meat for dinner tonight. I thought it over and said I didn't eat rabbit meat, so they could keep it. The two exchanged a look, probably figuring the city-bred educated youth was too delicate for wild game, and without pushing further, they happily took the rabbit away. Soon Li Hongbing's son, Li Yuanchao, came in with a big bowl filled with coarse cornmeal wota buns and a few strips of pickled vegetables. The boy was thin and small, his skin sun-baked dark, but his eyes were unusually bright. He said his dad had traded the rabbit meat for this, telling me to eat up. The wota was rough and scraped my throat, and the pickles were both salty and astringent, things I would never have touched before I crossed over. I was so hungry that I wolfed it down. Li Yuanchao stood beside me watching me eat, swallowing hard. I told him to have some, but he shook his head like a rattled drum. He said his father had told him this was bought with brother Tianliang's rabbit, so he shouldn't eat it. My heart felt heavy. I broke off half of the last cornbread in my bowl and forced it into his hand. Only then did he take it carefully, give it a small bite, and his eyes curved into crescent moons. After eating, I couldn't sit still and wanted to go out for a stroll, so Li Yuanchao volunteered to show me the way. We followed the dirt road out of the village, lined with low rammed earth houses, and farther off, wheat fields that were beginning to turn yellow. He said there was a river up ahead, and once we crossed it, we'd reach the neighboring village. As he spoke, I caught sight of someone crouching by the river in the distance. It was a girl in a coarse blue cloth dress, sleeves rolled up to her elbows, head down, scrubbing clothes in a basin. She had her back to us, so I couldn't see her face, but even her tattered clothes couldn't hide her narrow shoulders, slim waist, and when she bent over, a stretch of the back of her neck showed, dazzlingly white. I glanced at her then looked away, staring at the river to look for fish. My stomach was still empty, so I needed to find something to eat. But before I spotted any fish, that girl got into trouble. She suddenly let out a startled cry, fell backward, and scrambled back using her hands and feet. I looked closely and saw, half a meter in front of her, a water snake raising its head, its scarlet tongue flicking in and out. My eyes lit up at once. I was just worrying about having no meat and now this. I turned and spotted a slingshot hanging from Li Yuanchao's waist. Without a second word, I snatched it, bent down to pick up a pebble, and shot. The pebble skimmed over the water's surface, landing with a smack right on the vulnerable spot just below the snake's head. The snake twisted twice, then went limp and crumpled by the riverbank. The entire process took less than 2 seconds. Li Yuanchao stood there with his mouth wide open, and after a long pause blurted out, "Brother Tianliang, how did you do that?" I didn't bother to answer him. I walked over to confirm the snake was thoroughly dead before turning to look at the girl. She was sitting on the ground, her face deathly pale, chest heaving violently, clearly scared out of her wits. I reached out and pulled her to her feet. She looked up at me, and only then did I really see her face. Pretty, genuinely pretty. Skin as white as porcelain, delicate features. In the era I came from before traveling through time, she could easily outshine a whole roster of internet celebrities. And completely makeup-free, hair loosely pinned up, a thin sheen of sweat on her forehead. "Thanks, comrade Big Brother." Her voice was soft, trembling slightly. Li Yuanchao sidled over, grinning, and called her sister Yueching, saying she'd scared us half to death. It seemed this girl was also from the village. But her sickly white complexion was completely at odds with the wheat-colored skin of the villagers, tanned from years in the sun. I didn't take another look at her. I bent down and picked up the water snake, and asked Li Yuanchao, "Can we eat this thing?" He nodded eagerly, eyes shining. "Yes, we can." I felt a surge of joy, and instinctively sank my awareness into the space for a quick look. Sure enough, beside the pile of rabbits were 100 water snakes, neatly stacked into a smooth pile. Done. Proven. The 100-fold crit was real. Just then, from a distance, someone called my name. I looked up. Li Hongbing was standing at the entrance to the village. Waving at me, it looked like he was back from gathering news. I was about to respond when the girl beside me, named Yueching, hurriedly gathered up the clothes on the ground, picked up her basin, and walked away quickly without looking back. I withdrew my gaze. Since I didn't know her well, there was no need to go out of my way to be nice. Li Yuanchao and I headed back, and I carried the water snake, weighing it in my hand, thinking about how to stew it that evening. Li Hongbing came up to meet us, his expression somewhat complicated. He said he had asked around at the nearby production teams and forestry farms, and no educated youth had gone missing. He glanced at me and said hesitantly, "Zhao, if you really can't find where you came from, then stay in our village for now. Later, I'll find a way to get your household registration settled." I nodded and said, "Uncle, sorry for the trouble." He waved his hand and sighed, saying that even if I couldn't go back to the city, I could still make a living in the great northern wilderness. Then he asked what I was doing by the river. I said I was catching snakes to add a dish for dinner. He glanced at the water snake in my hand, then at me, with a somewhat dumbfounded look in his eyes, probably wondering how a fair-skinned, clean-cut city-educated youth. How was he so skilled with bricks and slingshots? But I didn't ask further. Li Yuanchao was hopping around beside me, already planning how to deal with the snake when we got back. He ran a couple of steps, then turned back to smile at me. "Brother Tianliang, you're amazing. It's only your first day, and you've already managed to get meat for the family." I looked at his bright, shining eyes. I raised the water snake higher and waved it at him. "Come on, let's go back and make soup." That afternoon, I squatted by the doorway of the Li family's kitchen scraping the snake's skin, while Li Yuanchao crouched beside me handing me firewood. Sunlight streamed through the cracks in the broken eaves, falling onto his dark little face. He suddenly said, "Brother Tianliang, you'll stay in our village forever, right?" I said, "I probably will." He grinned, then lowered his head and stuffed a wad of dry grass into the stove. The firelight flickered across his face, making his eyes shine. He said, "That's wonderful." I kept scraping the snake's skin, my mind on the 100 snakes and 100 rabbits in the space, and on how many times the fish I'd catch in the river in the next few days would multiply. thinking that if he could get his hands on a gun someday, life wouldn't be so hard to bear. He liked this educated youth brother standing before him on his very first day. He'd already managed to get meat for the family. Li Yuanchao was completely unafraid of the water snake. Holding it firmly, he brought Zhao Tianliang over to his father, Li Hongbing. Li Hongbing narrowed his eyes at the water snake in his son's hand. Could this be the doing of that amnesiac educated youth again? If so, this young man was truly extraordinary. The production team wasn't well off, especially when it came to meat. Meat had always been in short supply. If this educated youth had a knack for procuring it, taking him into the team would be a great stroke of luck for the whole village. But would he even be willing to stay with their production team? Educated youth Zhao, so you're out catching water snakes? I asked Yuan Shao to take a walk with me, and we ran into this thing by the river, so I killed it while I was at it. Dad, you don't know how dangerous it was just now. This water snake almost got Sister Yueching. If Brother Tianliang hadn't been so quick, grabbed my slingshot, and killed it in one shot, Sister Yueching would have been in real trouble. Dad, let me tell you, you didn't see it just now. So you have no idea how incredible Brother Tianliang was. Li Yuanchao regaled him with the story, his face glowing with excitement, as if he himself had been the one who killed that water snake with a slingshot. Li Hongbing's attention was stuck entirely on the name Lin Yueching. He furrowed his brows and probed. Zhao, did you two just have contact with the Lin family's daughter? Zhao Tianliang nodded. I suppose you could say so. Li Hongbing glanced around, pressed his lips together, and after long hesitation, finally said, Zhao, by all rights, I shouldn't say this. From now on, you'd better keep some distance from that Lin girl. Dad, Li Yuanchao complained. Sister Yueching is such a wonderful person, why won't you let us have anything to do with her? Li Hongbing shot him a glare. What does a child know? I was talking to Zhao, he went on. That Lin girl has been sick since she was little, and after all these years, she hasn't gotten any better. I'm afraid she'll always be like this. But the girl happened to be blessed with a pretty face. Li Hongbing was afraid that Zhao Tianliang, who was at the hot-blooded age of youth, might accidentally fall for her and make his later years miserable. Zhao Tianliang didn't know what secrets were hidden in this, so he laughed it off and indicated that he understood. Uncle Hongbing, how are things going with my matter? Educated youth Zhao, your situation is a bit complicated. Let's go back, and I'll tell you in detail what I've found out. Back at Zhao Hongbing's home again, a middle-aged woman wearing a blue jacket with a slanted front opening came out to greet them. She had short hair that reached her ears. You're back, dear. Educated youth Zhao, let me introduce you. This is my wife, Wang Cuihua. Hello, Aunt Cuihua. Hello, educated youth Zhao. Is your body feeling any discomfort? Wang Cuihua wasn't surprised to see Zhao Tianliang. She must have seen him while he was unconscious. Thank you for your concern, Auntie. Nothing serious. I just can't remember things. Zhao Tianliang pointed at his head. Wang Cuihua showed a sympathetic expression. Ah, little Zhao. I'll just call you little Zhao from now on. Consider this place your home from now on. Don't worry if you can't remember things, they'll gradually get better. Thank you, Auntie. Oh, right, Auntie. I just caught a water snake, can you deal with it? Li Yuanchao hurriedly showed his mother the gray-brown water snake draped around his neck. Ma, Brother Tianliang shot it with my slingshot. How could a mother not know her son's intentions? Mentioning the slingshot was just to claim credit. All right, I know your slingshot has its uses. I'll let you play with it, but you have to mind your limits. Li Yuanchao was overjoyed and raised both hands in cheer. Brother Tianliang, you're amazing. Wang Cuihua shot her son a glance. Then smiling, she grabbed the water snake from his neck and went to the kitchen to deal with it. Li Hongbing led Zhao Tianliang to the main room, and after sending his son Li Yuanchao off, he said, Zhao. In the afternoon, Accountant Liu and I made a round of the surrounding production teams, and afterward we even went to the commune's educated youth office. But in all these places, we couldn't find any information about you. But don't worry just yet. It was on the riverbank that Accountant Liu and I found you, so you might have floated over with the current. Later we'll follow the river upstream and ask at the commune up there. During this period, educated youth Zhao, you can rest assured and stay in our production team. It was indeed so. Li Hongbing's words once again confirmed Zhao Tianliang's thoughts as an educated youth. He had indeed come over in his own body. Uncle Hongbing, I have a request. Educated youth Zhao, just say it. If you really can't find my original unit, I'd like to stay in our production team. What do you think? What? Are you serious? Li Hongbing was overjoyed inside. This educated youth before him was a skilled talent. Unlike those city-educated youths who couldn't carry a load or lift a hand. He very much welcomed such talent. Zhao Tianliang nodded solemnly. Uncle, I want to settle my household registration here. Lad, you've thought it through clearly. There are some things I need to make clear to you, otherwise you'll blame me in the future. Li Hongbing's expression was serious, and Zhao Tianliang nodded earnestly. Our place is not like other production teams. A work point is worth just over 2 fun. Even if you earn full work points in a day, that's only over 2 mao, a bit lower than elsewhere. With that being the case, are you still willing to stay? Zhao Tianliang thought it was something major. It didn't matter if work points weren't worth much as long as the people were honest and simple, it was fine. With his special ability, he wasn't afraid of starving. Uncle, I really admire a man like you so honest and straightforward. I definitely want to settle my household registration here with you. Zhao Tianliang's words were forceful, and Li Hongbing's face flushed with gratification. After all, being a city man, you speak more pleasantly than those rough country folk in the village. Fine. Since educated youth Zhao has put it that way, I have no reason to turn you away. Once we finish eating, we'll get the paperwork done. Li Hongbing wanted to settle the matter as soon as possible. A talent like this could not be missed. Before long, Wang Cuihua came in carrying a basin of water snake soup. Here, careful, it's hot. The rich aroma filled the room, and Zhao Tianliang couldn't help but salivate. Li Yuanchao followed closely behind Wang Cuihua, carrying a basin of cornmeal Woda buns. He set down the buns, then sat in his seat excitedly and took a deep, intoxicated breath of the water snake soup's fragrance. Aromatic. So aromatic. Li Yuanchao was nearly drooling. Wang Cuihua first ladled a bowl for Zhao Tianliang. Little Zhao, have a taste of your auntie's cooking. Thank you, auntie. Zhao Tianliang was hungry too. The midday meal had been far from enough to satisfy his body, which was used to training all year round. He took a sip of the soup first, and his eyes immediately lit up. The broth was fresh and delicious, flowing down his throat into his stomach, warming him. He then tried the snake meat. The texture was firm and slightly springy, and it was prepared very tastily. Gulu gulu, a sound came from beside him. Zhao Tianliang looked over and saw Li Yuanchao with both hands gripping the edge of the big bowl, gulping down the water snake soup like a dragon drawing water. Damn, this kid had such an appetite. It took real willpower for him to hold back at the midday meal. You child, eat more slowly. Don't let Xiao Zhao laugh at us. Wang Cuihua and Li Hongbing looked embarrassed. After enjoying a delicious water snake soup meal, Li Hongbing then took Zhao Tianliang to go through the formalities for settling down. Before dark, Zhao Tianliang successfully got his residency registered in Sheng'an village. Then Li Hongbing arranged for Zhao Tianliang to stay temporarily at the educated youth point. It is worth mentioning that because no information about Zhao Tianliang could be found, the cadre at the educated youth office originally wanted to treat him as an old educated youth. But apart from receiving ration grain in the first year after arriving in the countryside, old educated youth, from the second year onward, he would have to join in production labor and receive allocated grain from the production team. The supply grain, however, came from the state and was of much better quality than the unprocessed grain distributed by the team. After arguing his case, Li Hongbing secured 4 months of supply grain for Zhao Tianliang, namely September, October, November, and December. After those 4 months, Zhao Tianliang would only be able to get grain from the production team. For those 4 months, each month he received 45 jin of rice, 1 liang of soybean oil, and 1 liang of pork. Li Hongbing had already collected the rice and soybean oil for Zhao Tianliang. But since pork was in short supply, the sent-down youth office compensated with meat coupons. There were no other sent-down youths living in Sheng'an Tun's youth dormitory anymore, so Zhao Tianliang essentially had a single room. Li Hongbing opened the door and lit a kerosene lamp. Zhao, this was originally the sent-down youth point, but over the years, the youths have all returned to the cities one by one, so it's been empty. Zhao Tianliang was very satisfied with this. Carrying a secret as he did, he naturally didn't want to share a room with anyone else. You settle down here for now. If you need anything, just tell me. I'll do my best to help you solve the problem. Uncle Hongbing, thank you so much. From now on, Uncle Hongbing, just call me by my name. Li Hongbing waved his hand. All right, since you've settled in our Sheng'an village, Tianliang, then we're all one family. He glanced around the room at the furniture. Everything was fairly complete, except it lacked a mattress, and it could get a bit cold late into the night. Li Hongbing mentally noted what items he needed to prepare for Zhao Tianliang. Tianliang, wait here. I'll go get some things for you. Uncle Hongbing, why don't I come with you? No need. With that, Li Hongbing left Zhao Tianliang with nothing but a back view. Zhao Tianliang looked over his temporary lodgings. There was a large kong, a heated brick bed, presumably where the previous educated youths had all slept together on a big communal platform. But now he was the only one sleeping here, plenty of room. The wooden furniture in the room was all old, and some pieces with their crooked, lopsided shapes, were clearly handcrafted by the educated youths themselves. The conditions were crude, but at least they were complete, and in the countryside of the 1970s, having such conditions was already quite good. Zhao Tianliang was a man who knew contentment. The room had some dust. Clearly no one had inhabited it for some time. He rolled up his sleeves, intending to give it a good cleaning first. "Brother Tianliang, I'm here." Just as I left the yard to find cleaning tools, I ran into Li Yuanchao. He was holding all kinds of tools in both hands: a broom, a dustpan, a rag, and an enamel basin. "Yuanchao, what's all this?" "My dad told me to come help clean up." "Brother Tianliang, which one do you want?" He raised the tools in his hands. "Give me the broom." Zhao Tianliang didn't turn down the boy's kindness. Having someone to help was much faster than doing it alone. Besides, he already owed their family more than one favor, might as well not worry about the debt. Li Yuanchao was also a skilled worker. With his help, the room Zhao Tianliang was staying in, the kitchen, and the courtyard all looked brand new. "Yuanchao, thank you for today." Zhao Tianliang wrung the rag hard with both hands, sincerely thanking the young man. "Brother Tianliang, after eating your water snake meat, it's only right that I do some work." "You like eating water snake meat?" "Like it. As long as it's meat, I like it." Recalling tonight's water snake soup, Li Yuanchao's mouth unconsciously began to water. It was so delicious. If only he could eat it every day. "Then how about I treat you to water snake meat again tomorrow?" "Ah." Li Yuanchao was stunned for a moment. When he came to his senses, he quickly nodded. "That would be great, of course. But Brother Tianliang, water snakes are actually quite rare. Today we just got lucky. Or rather, Sister Yueching was the one with bad luck." Silently glancing at the 100 water snakes piled up in his storage space, Zhao Tianliang had no worries at all that he might break his word. But he couldn't say this to the young man in front of him anyway. Tomorrow he would bring the snake meat before him. Zhao Tianliang changed the subject. "You mentioned that girl we ran into today. Who is she? Why did Uncle Hongbing tell me to keep my distance from her?" Li Yuanchao immediately put on an indignant expression. This topic made him angry. "Umph. My dad is just an old stick in the mud. He's definitely on the same side as the rest of the village. Everyone in the village thinks Sister Yueching is a jinx. Anyone who gets close to her will have bad luck. But they have no idea how wonderful Sister Yueching really is." Zhao Tianliang couldn't help feeling curious. What exactly had that girl done today to make even Uncle Hongbing think poorly of her? "You've got quite a temper, little guy. But you still haven't answered my question. Tell me, who is she?" Li Yuanchao suddenly felt embarrassed, having just been caught up in his own anger. "Brother Tianliang, please don't be like the others and go along with the jinx label." "Yeah, I won't." After Zhao Tianliang assured him, the young man began to tell him about Lin Yueching. Zhao Tianliang listened carefully and gained a general understanding of the girl he had met today. The girl had an older brother. He was fine at first, but not long after the girl was born, he fell ill and couldn't be cured. The girl's parents blamed her for her brother's illness. Later, when the girl grew a little older, she fell ill as well, which further confirmed her family's belief that she was a jinx. From then on, she lost her name. In the words of her parents and family, and of most people in the village, jinx was her name. Zhao Tianliang sighed, lamenting the girl's unfortunate plight. "Yuanchao, you just said that when she grew older, she also fell ill. Was it the same illness as her brother?" Li Yuanchao nodded. "The doctors couldn't find anything, but Sister Yueching and her brother have almost the same symptoms, so I think it's the same disease." "Humph. They say Sister Yueching is a jinx. Why don't they say it was their son who infected Sister Yueching? Both are born to the same parents, so why treat them differently? Sister Yueching's fate is really too cruel." This is what a normal person would think. Zhao Tianliang silently gave the young man a thumbs up. At the same time, he had another suspicion. The sibling's illness might be hereditary, showing symptoms at a certain age. But if it's hereditary, most are hard to cure. Thinking about it this way, the girl he met today was truly pitiful. Sick herself, she still had to suffer mental torment. Let's talk about the water snakes instead. Zhao Tianliang didn't want to continue with this heavy topic. When the conversation turned to food, the young man's mood gradually recovered. "Yuanchao, are there hunters in our village?" As they talked, Zhao Tianliang steered the conversation toward hunters. He still had the gun on his mind. "Of course there are, Brother Tianliang. Our village has a hunter king." "Hunter king?" Zhao Tianliang was taken aback by that name. Being able to add the word king after a profession must mean he's an extraordinary person, right? His name is Wang Qingshan, and he lives to the northeast of the village. Wait, Yuanchao, you said his surname is Wang? Then is that nickname derived from his name? Li Yuanchao nodded. Of course. Then how good is he at hunting? He should be all right, I guess. According to him, He once hunted a wild boar king in his early years. It's just that none of us have ever seen it. On ordinary days, he generally hunts some hazel grouse and occasionally a roe deer. We don't know his real skill level, but the fact that he can have meat to eat every few days is already very impressive in my opinion. Brother Tianliang, don't tell me you know how to hunt too. Li Yuanchao thought about Zhao Tianliang's performance that afternoon. Killing a water snake with just a slingshot was truly remarkable. Zhao Tianliang didn't lie. I don't know much about hunting, but I do know how to shoot, and my marksmanship is passable. I knew it. Brother Tianliang, if you were given a gun, could you hunt wild game? That's promising. Zhao Tianliang was pleasantly surprised. He hadn't expected a casual question to actually turn up a lead on a gun. Yuanchao, do you have a gun? No, I was just asking. Li Yuanchao shook his head just as bluntly. Zhao Tianliang closed his eyes. He really wanted to imprint his size 44 shoe on the other's face. You don't have a gun, so why do you ask questions as if you did? If you can get a gun, I can hunt some game for you to eat. Brother Tianliang, are you serious? Of course. Li Yuanchao actually began to think seriously, suggesting he really did know where a gun was. Brother Tianliang, my uncle has a 16-gauge shotgun hanging on his wall, but he treasures it and doesn't usually lend it out. If it's not easy to borrow, why bring it up? Zhao Tianliang said irritably. That Yuanchao fellow always said things that couldn't be done. It was really infuriating. Brother Tianliang, don't be so anxious. I have a way to borrow it, but I need your help. Oh, stop keeping me in suspense. Tell me quickly, what's the plan? My uncle likes to have a drink now and then. If you, Brother Tianliang, can get some good liquor, I'll be able to borrow the gun. Liquor? Right. Any liquor will do as long as it's not bulk brewed. You can buy it at the Supply and Marketing Cooperative. Oh, Brother Tianliang, do you have a liquor coupon? Liquor coupon? Li Yuanchao then remembered Zhao Tianliang's amnesia. He immediately gestured and explained, and Zhao Tianliang gradually understood. He had actually forgotten that they were still in the era of ration coupons. Everything required coupons. Grain coupons for food, liquor coupons for alcohol. Yuanchao, you know my situation. How could I have liquor coupons? Isn't there any other way to get liquor? The black market. If we can't get it through official channels, we'll have to try our luck at the black market. Brother Tianliang, if you can get some water snakes or other meat, we can trade them with people at the black market. That's a viable plan. Zhao Tianliang immediately said he would work hard at it. After the two talked a while longer, Li Hongbing finally arrived, carrying a mattress and some daily necessities. Zhao Tianliang took a look and saw they were all things he needed at the moment. Enamel mug, toothbrush, tooth powder, towel, matches. Thank you, Uncle Hongbing. Li Hongbing waved his hand grandly. Don't be polite with your uncle, we're all family. Yuanchao, come back with me. Don't disturb Tianliang's rest. Li Yuanchao, who was in the middle of an animated conversation, didn't want to leave. But his father's word had always been final, so he had no choice but to say goodbye to Zhao Tianliang and promise to come find him tomorrow. After the Li father and son left, the whole educated youth residence fell quiet. Zhao Tianliang washed up briefly and then fell into a deep sleep. He had been through too much today, and the mental exhaustion was considerable. The next day, after a good night's sleep, Zhao Tianliang was in high spirits. After getting up, he followed his usual routine and did a few sets of exercises. Once he worked up a light sweat, he stopped. Grumble, grumble. His stomach let out a thunderous rumble. Zhao Tianliang decided to cook a meal to fill his empty stomach. Fortunately, he had collected his ration grain yesterday, enough to last him for quite a while. In the kitchen, there were cooking utensils left by the previous educated youth. They were all in good condition and could be used again after a wash. Last night, he and Yuanchao had worked for a whole evening and had already scrubbed them once. So now they were ready to use. There was also plenty of firewood, all of it useless junk cleared out during the big cleanup. Cotton stalks, straw, wood scraps, sawdust. Among the daily necessities Li Hongbing had brought last night, there happened to be 2 boxes of matches, and Zhao Tianliang couldn't help marveling at Uncle Hongbing's thoughtfulness. After a bit of fussing, smoke rose from the kitchen stove, and the rice was set to steam. Zhao Tianliang took 2 water snakes out from his space. He removed the innards and blood, washed them clean, cut them into pieces, blanched them, and then stewed them into soup. If only he had some scallions, ginger, or garlic, it would have added a lot to the dish. Fortunately, luck was on his side. The water snake he'd caught yesterday barely had any fishy smell. Zhao Tianliang looked at the pot with only snake meat and water in it, and couldn't help muttering to himself. Brother Tianliang. The snake soup wasn't even ready before Li Yuanchao's loud voice came booming from outside the yard. That kid had a sharp nose, and he headed straight for the kitchen. Brother Tianliang, you haven't had breakfast yet? Zhao Tianliang turned his head. You've come just in time. This snake soup will be done in a moment. Want a bowl? Li Yuanchao licked his lips. He truly hadn't eaten breakfast. Since autumn harvest was near, there wasn't much grain left at home, so they only ate 2 meals a day, lunch and dinner. But he hadn't done anything, so it wouldn't be right to just stay and freeload. No, brother Tianliang, I'll come find you after you've eaten, and then we'll go look for that water snake together. After saying that, Li Yuanchao suddenly realized wasn't that water snake soup in brother Tianliang's pot? His eyes flew wide open. Brother Tianliang, did you catch another water snake? Zhao Tianliang smiled. Lucky me, I ran into 2. Li Yuanchao pattered over to Zhao Tianliang's side and dropped to his knees with a thud. Master above, please accept this disciple's bow. Li Yuanchao was extremely envious of Zhao Tianliang's ability to have meat whenever he craved it. His greatest dream was to eat meat at every single meal. Zhao Tianliang was stunned by his sudden action. After snapping back to his senses, he held the boy up with both hands. Yuanchao, what are you doing? Master, just accept me as your disciple. When you're old, I'll take care of you. Zhao Tianliang's forehead darkened. The word provide for old age seemed a long way off. But no matter how he refused, the boy before him simply wouldn't give up. Zhao Tianliang finally had no choice but to accept him as a nominal disciple. It wasn't that he was being secretive. Techniques could be taught, but could he hand out his cheat abilities? He simply saw that the other party was sincere and had good character and temperament. And Zhao Tianliang felt no resistance in his heart. All right, get up quickly. Join me for some snake soup, and we'll chat about the black market matters. Thank you, master. Li Yuanchao was overjoyed, no longer even calling him brother Tianliang. Master, this stone works. I'll lift the table, and you place the stone. Zhao Tianliang applied a slight force with his hands and lifted one side of the table. Li Yuanchao seized the opportunity to wedge the stone under one of the table legs. Master, you can let it down now. The table returned to level, and with the stone propping it up, it no longer wobbled. Zhao Tianliang brought the steamed rice and water snake soup to the table. 2 water snakes had been cooked in one pot, and the portion was still generous, enough for both to eat their fill. Li Yuanchao skipped the rice and focused entirely on devouring the water snake soup, eating with great relish. Although there were no seasonings, Zhao Tianliang still enjoyed it thoroughly. The ingredients from this era were all purely natural, no hormones, no pollution. After wolfing down the meal, the 2 each leaned back against their chairs. Patting his round belly, he brought up the subject of the black market. Yuanchao, is the black market strictly controlled around here? Li Yuanchao shook his head. There was a crackdown a few years back, but things have gradually improved over the past 2 years. My dad says the higher-ups now turn a blind eye to it. Master, you really don't need to worry about safety. The rural markets have already reopened. You can think of our black market as a small market. Zhao Tianliang raised an eyebrow. This was indeed good news. Could it be that the duck is the first to know when the spring river warms? Was this a sign of the coming reforms? Setting aside his doubts, he asked, what do they have at the black market? Hard to say. The goods there are quite mixed. People bring all sorts of things to sell. Are there guns too? I'm not sure. I think there probably are, but I've never seen one. Zhao Tianliang fell silent. A borrowed gun was, after all, borrowed. It would be best to own a gun of his own. Master, actually, if you want to buy a gun, you don't need to go to the black market. The supply and marketing co-op has them. Li Yuanchao's words startled Zhao Tianliang. The supply and marketing cooperative actually sold guns out in the open? How is that reasonable? But then he thought about the era he was in, and he felt relieved. There were still nearly 20 years before the nationwide gun ban. At this time, many families had guns at home, so it didn't seem all that strange for the supply and marketing cooperative to be selling guns. Zhao Tianliang immediately asked how much the guns cost. After hearing the number Li Yuanchao gave him, he gave up on the idea at once. He didn't have a single cent on him. Buying a gun was out of the question. He could only make do by borrowing a gun. Zhao Tianliang suddenly had a small goal in mind: save up money and buy a gun. Whether it was the black market, the supply and marketing cooperative, or families with guns. If he wanted to get a gun from any of these places, he needed money. Master, I'll go wash the dishes now. Seeing Zhao Tianliang lost in thought, Li Yuanchao quietly said a word and quickly cleared the table and dishes. Watching the other's diligent figure, Zhao Tianliang thought to himself, having an apprentice wasn't such a bad idea after all. A certain evil capitalist looked at this scene, and the corner of his mouth curled up slightly. He stood up. Yuanchao, I'm going out for a stroll. Got it, master. Zhao Tianliang grabbed a bamboo basket and a chopper, then walked all the way to the river from yesterday. Unfortunately, his luck didn't seem to hold today. He walked along the riverbank for quite a while, without finding anything. Occasionally, a few tiny fry could be seen in the water, but apart from that, there were only water weeds. He had to go into the mountains. The edible things in the water had probably been mostly caught by the nearby villages. He was going to the black market later to exchange for alcohol. He had no money on him, so he could only barter trade meat for goods. He found a secluded spot, and, after checking that no one was around, took rabbits and water snakes out of his space. The rabbits weren't big, just over a pound each. He took out 10. He took 20 water snakes, and the bamboo basket was instantly full. Looking at the identical-looking rabbits and water snakes in the basket, he couldn't help frowning. This appearance certainly couldn't be taken directly to trade. He needed to handle them first. Shouldering the bamboo basket, Zhao Tianliang had only taken 2 steps when something occurred to him, and he turned back again. He sank his consciousness into the space. In this small space, he was the master, able to control whatever was inside at will. He tried skinning one of the rabbits. Unexpectedly, it actually worked. Zhao Tianliang was overjoyed. This discovery could save him a great deal of trouble. He followed the same method, gathering the rabbits and water snakes he had just taken out back into the space. Manipulating the machete, he skinned and cut them all into pieces. After finishing 10 rabbits and 20 water snakes, he felt his head heavy and dizzy, and his vision was even seeing double. His heart skipped a beat. He guessed that using the space to process animals consumed mental energy just now. He had already approached his limit. After resting in place for a while, Zhao Tianliang gradually recovered. Though he let out a long breath and secretly warned himself to be more careful in the future and not handle so much meat at one go. He wondered whether his ability to process animals could increase. Rabbits and water snakes were only small animals. If he ran into a black bear or a wild boar in the future, wouldn't that cost him his life? For now, he could find no way to improve, so Zhao Tianliang stopped thinking about it. He laid a layer of dry branches and hay over the bamboo basket, then turned and headed back to the village. On the way back, he ran into quite a few villagers who were off work, and everyone was quite warm toward him. That morning, when work began, team leader Li Hongbing told the villagers about Zhao Tianliang. Learning that he had voluntarily asked to settle in Sheng'an village, they took a liking to this young man who didn't look down on their poor place. Zhao Tianliang had his own way with people. When the villagers greeted him, he responded warmly. By the time he returned to the educated youth compound, Li Yuanshao had already washed the dishes and chopsticks and was waiting in the yard. Seeing Zhao Tianliang carrying the bamboo basket, he hurried over. "Master, you went to gather firewood?" He saw the dry wood and hay sticking out of the basket. Zhao Tianliang closed the yard gate and gestured for Li Yuanshao to follow him into the kitchen. Thump! The bamboo basket hit the ground with a dull sound. Li Yuanshao wasn't stupid the moment he heard it. He knew there was something else inside the basket. A thought suddenly struck him, and his eyes widened. "Master, don't tell me you caught more meat?" Under his astonished gaze, Zhao Tianliang removed the covering hay and dry branches, revealing the rabbit and snake meat inside. So much. Li Yuanshao's mouth opened wide enough to fit an egg. "Yuanshao, get a bowl. I'll scoop some out, and we'll take the rest to the black market." The young man moved quickly and brought over a large bowl. Zhao Tianliang packed a full big bowl of rabbit and snake meat. "Okay, Yuanshao, take this to uncle and auntie." "Master, which uncle and which auntie?" Li Yuanshao was stunned. "Uncle Hongbing, Aunt Suehua. Hurry up and come right back. We still need to go to the black market in a bit." Ah. It took Li Yuanshao a moment to react. Turns out it was for his own family. He quickly covered it with another large bowl and carried it home with a pounding heart. On the way, even when familiar friends called out to him, he didn't bother to respond. There was no one at home. Li Hongbing was the production team leader, and Wang Zuohua was the women's team leader. The village really needed them, so the two of them rarely spent time at home. Li Yuanshao put the meat in the kitchen. After locking the door, he finally felt relieved and returned to the educated youth point. "Master, aren't you keeping some meat for yourself?" "Silly boy, if I want meat, isn't it easy? Have you put everything away?" "All right, let's set off for the black market." The black market was in a remote spot. If not for Li Yuanshao, a local, leading the way, Zhao Tianliang would never have found it. "Brother Tianliang, we've come a bit late." Indeed, there were very few vendors in the alley before them. The black market usually opened before dawn, but Zhao Tianliang wasn't all that discouraged. This visit, his main purpose was to get familiar with the route and, in passing, sell off some meat not to buy. Let's go take a look. The two entered the black market without any trouble, and no one asked them for anything like a management fee. They hadn't gone far when an auntie at the corner came up to them. "Want to trade?" Following Li Yuanshao's advice, Zhao Tianliang had somewhat obscured his face. Now he said in a low voice, "Trade. Ration tickets, grain, money, I'll take all." As soon as she heard his demands, the auntie turned and went back to where she had been. Zhao Tianliang frowned. Did he have to ask around one by one like that, Andy? That would be too inefficient. Master, find Song Jinzi. He's an old hand in the black market and knows the place like the back of his hand. Come on, let's go find him. Li Yuanchao led the way, twisting and turning, bringing Zhao Tianliang to a side door. This spot had only one stall, and the stall owner was a middle-aged man in his 40s, with a large mole on his face and two long, curved eyebrows. Master, he is Song Jinzi. If you need anything, you can ask him. If you're willing to pay a handling fee, he can buy it on your behalf. He's an old hand here and has a good reputation. Li Yuanchao quietly introduced Song Jinzi's background. Zhao Tianliang nodded and slowly walked towards Song Jinzi. Seeing a customer approach, Song Jinzi immediately put on a smile, his eyebrows curving even more. Hey, fellow buying or selling? Both buying and selling. Song Jinzi raised an eyebrow, thinking a big deal had come to his door, and became even more enthusiastic. Zhao Tianliang didn't intend to play games with him. He directly stated what he wanted: money, various coupons, and good liquor. Quite a bold request. Song Jinzi couldn't help but take a few more looks at Zhao Tianliang, but unfortunately, his face was covered, so he couldn't see it. No problem, I can get all these things, but I need to know how you intend to settle the payment. Thump. This should be enough. Zhao Tianliang didn't waste words. He took off the bamboo basket from his back, set it on the ground, and removed the covering on top. Meat. A full basket of meat. Song Jinzi's eyes widened abruptly. Sellers who could produce this much meat at one go were rare in the black market. He quickly crouched down and carefully inspected the meat in the bamboo basket, the pounding of his heart easing a little. It turned out to be just water snake meat and rabbit meat, plenty in quantity, but not rare and limited in value. At the same time, he began to form guesses about the identity of the fellow villager selling the meat. Fellow quite skilled. You must be an old hunter, right? All this meat is very fresh. I bet you found their den, didn't you? Hee, just luck. How much can I get for this meat? Zhao Tianliang didn't bother explaining his identity after all. They were just guesses, and he wouldn't own up to any of them. Let me weigh it. Even if it isn't rare meat, once it's put out, plenty of people will still scramble for it. Limited value doesn't mean it's worthless. He deftly fetched a scale. Rabbit meat, 6 caddies. Water snake meat, 2.5 caddies. That was less than 10 caddies in total, which might sound a bit small, but this was all pure meat processed by Zhao Tianliang. Pure meat. No fur, skin, bones, or organs. Old fellow, what do you want in exchange first? Let's start with liquor, and if there's any left over, give me money and coupons. Zhao Tianliang thought for a moment, deciding to settle the liquor matter first so he could borrow a gun. With a gun, he could hunt larger game. Song Jinzi lifted a corner of the cloth curtain behind him and pulled 2 bottles of liquor out of a box underneath. Zhaodong Special Daku, the best I have here. I'll give you 2 bottles, plus 15 jin of grain coupons. Zhao Tianliang and Li Yuanchao exchanged a glance, knowing that Song Jinzi wasn't trying to cheat them. After all, Song Jinzi had run his black market stall for so long his reputation wasn't worth ruining over a small deal like this. Pleasure doing business. Taking the liquor and grain coupons, Zhao Tianliang glanced at Song Jinzi, but didn't say much. Though the first transaction had gone smoothly, no one could guarantee just how trustworthy Song Jinzi really was. Zhao Tianliang planned to trade with him a few more times, get a read on his character, and only then talk about bigger deals like buying a gun. After wandering through the black market with Li Yuanchao for a while, during this time, he made another move, exchanging 5 jin of food stamps for some small change to have on hand just in case. With their goal achieved, Zhao Tianliang and Li Yuanchao left the black market without lingering. As they walked back toward Shengyan, Yuanchao, when are we going to your uncle's place? My uncle works at the forest farm and has Sundays off, so we can visit him that day. Yesterday, Zhao Tianliang had asked Li Hongbing the date, learning it was September 22nd. Today was the 23rd, a Thursday, which meant Sunday was 2 days later, the 26th. That gap would give him just enough time to ask about the nearby forests. All right, got it. As they passed by the reeds, Zhao Tianliang suddenly heard a rustling sound and quickly signaled Li Yuanchao to stop. Master, did you hear something? Li Yuanchao asked in a low voice, barely containing his excitement. Give me the slingshot. With no gun on hand, that cheap apprentice's slingshot would have to serve as a makeshift weapon. He bent down to pick up a few small stones to use as pellets. Then, keeping his movements low, slipped into the reeds. After creeping about 5 or 6 meters, Zhao Tianliang found that the rustling sound he had heard earlier was growing louder. Getting closer, he slowed his steps and gently parted a clump of reeds in front of him. The sight before him made him freeze there. In front of him was a figure in gray. The girl was lying on the grassy meadow, 2 quail eggs resting on her fingertips. A faint smile lingered on her pretty side profile. The near-noon sunlight filtered through the reeds and scattered across the curve of her waist, sliding down from her waistline to a soft, graceful curve. Suddenly, the reeds rustled, and 3 pintail snipes burst into flight. Lin Yueqing scrambled to her feet in a fluster, only to meet Zhao Tianliang's gaze. Thinking of what she had just been doing, especially the fact that a certain part of her body had been facing the man before her, a crimson blush crept up Lin Yueqing's fair cheeks. Zhao Tianliang's attention, however, was caught by the pintail snipes suddenly taking flight. His eyes sharpened. His left hand held the slingshot steady as he quickly gauged the distance. The stone between his fingers was already set in the leather pouch. As the rubber band was pulled back with a faint creak, his right wrist snapped forward with a flick. Whoosh! The first pebble shot through the air and struck squarely into the skull of one common snipe. Without waiting to confirm the result, his rapid-fire technique with micro-adjustments for range had already kicked in. The second shot cut across the bird's escape trajectory at an angle. The third shot, predicting the path, went straight for the wing joint. 3 crisp cracks burst out in quick succession, and tattered feathers rained down over the meadow. The 3 common snipes hadn't even managed to take flight before they were picked off with pinpoint accuracy. Their bodies dropped into the meadow one after another like dumplings into a pot. Master, what skill? Li Yuanchao, waiting outside, couldn't see Zhao Tianliang's moves, but he could clearly see the 3 birds fall to the ground in succession. At that moment, his heart surged with excitement, and he couldn't help but loudly cheer for Zhao Tianliang. Lin Yueqing was startled by the sudden turn of events, and only then realized she had misjudged the man before her. It turned out that he, just like her, had come to this reed marsh to forage for wild food, not to follow her specifically, let alone to covet her body. Only after another careful look at the man's appearance and figure did she recognize him. The man before her seemed to be one of the educated youths who had recently settled in the village. Besides, he had saved her once by the river outside the village. How could she misunderstand him? Zhao Tianliang let out a silent sigh of relief. He had nearly been scared out of his wits. Otherwise, he wouldn't have known how to explain the scene that had just happened to the girl before him. Li Yuanchao ran excitedly into the reed marsh. When he reached Zhao Tianliang, he saw Lin Yueqing with her head lowered and couldn't help asking, "Sister Yueqing, why did you come here? Your pants are all dirty. When you get home, your parents are going to scold you again." Lin Yueqing now had mud spots on her knees and trouser legs. She bit her lip, wanting to refute the boy's words. They wouldn't care about such things. "Yuanchao, thank you. I'll go first." The words reached her lips, but she didn't dare say what was in her heart. As she passed Zhao Tianliang, Lin Yueqing hesitated for a moment, then extended her fair arm and opened her palm, presenting the 2 quail eggs in her palm to Zhao Tianliang. She gave a gentle shake. Lin Yueqing still kept her head bowed, her voice as soft as a mosquito's buzz. "Zhao Jiqing, thank you for that day by the river. Please take these 2 quail eggs." Zhao Tianliang noticed. Lin Yueqing's voice didn't carry much emotion, but her fair neck was already tinged with a blush. He suddenly thought about her appearing in the reed marsh. Had she come all the way to search for bird eggs just to thank him? After all, given her status at home, it wasn't as if she could have any pocket money. These 2 quail eggs were almost the only gift she could manage to offer. She was a good girl who knew how to repay kindness. With that thought, Zhao Tianliang extended his large hand. "Comrade Lin, how did you know I love quail eggs? Thank you so much." Hearing Zhao Tianliang say he liked them, a hint of joy stirred in Lin Yueqing's heart. She knew that 2 quail eggs were really too few. But she was too clumsy. She had spent the whole morning searching and had only found 2. "Zhao Jiqing, I have to go home and cook now. I'll be going first." After saying this, without waiting for Zhao Tianliang's reaction, Lin Yueqing left with her head down. Withdrawing his gaze, Zhao Tianliang tucked the 2 quail eggs into his clothes, then put them into his space. At this time, his space had naturally undergone another new change. With the 3 fan-tailed snipes he had just killed, there were now 300 more fan-tailed snipes in the space. They instantly took up over half of the space. "Master, these 3 water snipes are quite big. They'll yield plenty of meat." While Zhao Tianliang and Lin Yueqing were talking, Li Yuanchao, that brat, went to pick up the shot snipes. Who knew whether he was trying to win over the master's wife or just wanted a bite to eat? The water snipes Li Yuanchao mentioned were actually fan-tailed snipes. a type of bird that lives near shoals and wetlands. Did it taste good? In the era Zhao Tianliang was from, this bird was already a protected animal. Delicious. The meat is very tender, even better than chicken. Li Yuanchao licked his lips. All right then, we'll have this for dinner tonight. Master, why tonight? Can't we eat water snipe for lunch in a while? Zhao Tianliang put on a solemn expression. In my hometown, there's a saying, eating chicken at night brings great luck and prosperity. Is there such a custom? Well then, I'll follow your lead, master. We'll have it tonight, good luck to us all. Of course, Zhao Tianliang was making that up on the spot. The meat he had sent to Li Yuanchao that morning hadn't even been touched. It was late summer, almost autumn, and without a refrigerator, meat couldn't be kept for long. After putting the 3 water birds into the basket, master and apprentice set off back to the village. In the evening, Zhao Tianliang was invited to Li Hongbing's home for dinner. Also present was Accountant Lu, whom he had met the day before. Uncle Accountant, Zhao Tianliang greeted him. Lu nodded back with a smile. The two walked into the house, where the table was already laden with dishes, their aroma wafting through the air. Zhao Tianliang couldn't help taking a second look. Mixed flour steamed buns, waterbird stew with mushrooms, stir-fried rabbit with chili peppers, water snake soup, steamed eggplant, and stewed green beans. Accountant Lu brought along half a bottle of loose white liquor. He craned his neck to sniff, then wore a look of pure delight. Wow, Hongbing, you're really splashing out today? 3 meat dishes. But when he looked more closely, Accountant Lu couldn't help but widen his eyes. Other than during the pork feast after a pig slaughter, when else would they see such a spread? Li Hongbing held his pipe, his brow relaxed. All this meat was given by Tianliang. You're the accountant of this village, don't you know my family's circumstances? Accountant Lu looked at Zhao Tianliang in surprise. This young fellow is capable. He's been in the village less than 2 days and already managed to get so much meat? Educated youth Zhao, I never knew you were this impressive. Uncle Accountant, if you keep praising me, I'll get a swelled head. Accountant Lu smiled. This young man is quite interesting, and he looked at Zhao Tianliang with a hint of appreciation in his eyes. After Wang Cuihua and Li Yuanchao had taken their seats, everyone began to eat. Zhao Tianliang noticed that even with Accountant Lu present, Li Yuanchao still had the look of a starving ghost reborn. He ate extremely fast and with great relish. But this apprentice of his was, after all, the production team leader's son, so he should know proper manners. This showed that Li Yuanchao's family probably had a pretty good relationship with Accountant Lu. At the dinner table, it was mainly Li Hongbing, Accountant Lu, and Zhao Tianliang chatting. Come, drink, Tianliang. Have one with your uncle. As they ate with gusto, Li Hongbing began urging him to drink. After a few cups of wine, the topic of conversation shifted to Zhao Tianliang's work. Over these past 2 days, the 2 village cadres had gained some understanding of Zhao Tianliang's abilities. A talent like this, if they arranged for him to till the fields, it would really be a waste of his ability. Tianliang, do you have any thoughts about your future work? Li Hongbing asked Zhao Tianliang directly. Zhao Tianliang's heart stirred. To be honest, with his space and special abilities, he naturally had no desire to work the land. Uncle, I found that my aim is quite good these past 2 days. I think I can support myself by hunting. Li Hongbing and Accountant Lu exchanged a look, and both could see the delight in the other's eyes. According to their way of thinking, they naturally hoped that a talent like Zhao Tianliang would go hunting. Work points in the brigade were not worth as much as in other regions, and the commune members lacked meat all year round. If Zhao Tianliang could bring back wild game, the brigade could trade with him, which would benefit the production team. But hunting was not a simple matter. For one thing, some wild animals were fierce and extremely dangerous. For another, if he put his energy into hunting, he naturally wouldn't be able to attend to production. At year-end grain distribution, his work points would naturally not match those of the commune members who worked and participated in production normally, and the grain he received would naturally be less. So hunting requires one to be tough and capable to live well. Otherwise, it's better to honestly farm with the production team. Most people don't have such courage and strength, and can only treat hunting as a sideline, occasionally gathering wild eggs or setting snares for hares and pheasants. At this moment, when Zhao Tianliang took the initiative to offer, the 2 village cadres were of course overjoyed. Tianliang, have you thought it through? Hunting is no easy task. There are many tricks of the trade I need to explain to you. Even though Li Hongbing and the other were in favor, they still carefully laid out the pros and cons to Zhao Tianliang. Uncle, I'm sure. Zhao Tianliang's gaze was resolute. With his spatial ability and 100-fold rewards, if he could starve while hunting, he might as well just buy a piece of tofu and bump himself to death. Good. Young people should have ambition. First thing tomorrow, I'll find some time to take you to the Forestry Bureau to get your hunter's license. Li Hongbing decided on the spot. Uncle Hongbing, once I have the hunter's license, can I apply for a gun? September 26th, Sunday. Early in the morning, Li Yuanchao came to find Zhao Tianliang and joined him for his morning exercise. Once they had worked up a sweat, Zhao Tianliang called an end to the session and started a fire to cook breakfast. Li Yuanchao tactfully took his leave. A half-grown boy can eat his master out of house and home. He didn't dare let his appetite run loose. Master, I'll head back to prepare some dried goods for my uncle. Fine, off you go. Zhao Tianliang steamed a few manta buns for himself and boiled a pot of thin porridge, making do with a simple meal. His cooking skills were only so-so these past couple of days. Except for breakfast, which he had at home, he had all his other meals at the home of the team leader, Li Hongbing. Of course, he brought meat and grain with him. The day before yesterday, he and Li Hongbing had gone to the Forestry Bureau and gotten his hunter's certificate, and at the same time he had asked about applying for a firearm. The result wasn't good. The Forestry Bureau replied that they had no surplus guns in their inventory, and that once they had stock in the future, they would give priority to him as an educated youth hunter. But who knew when that future would actually be? He couldn't just keep waiting and never go hunting in the mountains, could he? The key was still to rely on oneself. For now, the most important thing was to borrow the gun from the nominal apprentice's uncle. Today was the weekend, and his apprentice's uncle had the day off, so the two had agreed to pay him a visit in a little while. After the meal, Zhao Tianliang found a bamboo basket, went back to his room, and shut the door. He began taking things out from his space. First, there were 2 bottles of Zhaodong special Daco liquor, 2 dressed water birds, 2 wild rabbits, a tin of malted milk, and a can of yellow peaches. Over the past couple of days, he had also made a solo trip to the black market and traded with Song Jinzi again, selling off part of the waterbird meat, rabbit meat, and water snake meat. This time, he increased the quantity a bit, selling a total of 20 rabbits, 30 water snakes, and 20 waterbirds. The sheer number startled Song Jinzi. But this guy was indeed an old hand at the black market. He didn't stir up any crooked thoughts. In this transaction, Zhao Tianliang traded for quite a few things: 20 gene of grain coupons, 2 gene of oil coupons. The various non-staple food coupons added up to more than 5 gene, and there were also a few miscellaneous coupons thrown in as a bonus. Besides the coupons, he also exchanged for 2 tins of malted milk, 3 cans of canned yellow peaches. Although the total amount of meat sold to Song Jinzi was considerable, the meat yield was low. After removing skin, bones, and organs. There was actually not much edible meat. Being able to exchange for so many things already made Zhao Tianliang quite satisfied. Once he got a gun and went into the mountains to hunt larger game, by then he would be able to get even more in exchange. Covering the basket with an old piece of cloth he had obtained from Song Jinzi, Zhao Tianliang put the basket on his back, locked the door, and headed to Accountant Lu's home. The forest farm, where Li Yuanchao's uncle worked, was a bit far from Sheng'an village, so he needed to borrow a bicycle. The only household in Sheng'an village that owned a bicycle was Accountant Lu's. Accountant Lu had 3 children, with the oldest attending high school in the county town, a long distance away. To support the child's schooling, Accountant Lu had borrowed a considerable amount, finally managing to get a bicycle. Carrying the basket on his back, Zhao Tianliang arrived at Accountant Lu's house and found his cheap apprentice already there. Zhao Tianliang walked into the yard. Tianliang, Uncle Accountant. After the two exchanged greetings, Zhao Tianliang was led by Accountant Lu into the house. In the room, besides Li Yuanchao, there were 2 others about his age, a boy and a girl. Qingyan, Qingyi, say hello quickly. This is Brother Tianliang, Accountant Lu said to the 2 children. Brother Tianliang. Brother Tianliang. Hello. Zhao Tianliang smiled and took out a jar of canned yellow peaches from the basket. Uncle, since this is my first visit, I brought a jar of yellow peaches for the kids. Tianliang, what are you doing? Uncle Lu, just accept it. We're going to need your bicycle in a bit, Li Yuanchao said with a grin. Seeing the eager looks in Qingyan and Qingyi's eyes, Accountant Lu happily accepted the canned peaches. Qingfeng is at home studying today and didn't go to school. Tianliang, if you need the bicycle, feel free to use it. Qingfeng was Accountant Lu's eldest son. Thank you, Uncle. Then we won't disturb you any longer. With their goal achieved, Zhao Tianliang and Li Yuanchao took the bicycle and left the Lu family's home. As soon as the 2 left, Lu Qingyan and Lu Qingyi couldn't wait to open the can. Seeing this, Accountant Lu quickly stopped them. You 2, eat slowly. Don't forget to leave half for your eldest brother. He uses his brain a lot studying, so he needs more nourishment. Dad, we're the ones farming at home. We need to build up our strength too. How much debt did the family rack up for that bicycle? Lu Qingyan muttered. The moment Dad opened his mouth, he wanted to keep half for eldest brother, which made him resentful. What are you muttering about? Did I stop you from studying? You just don't have the brains. Accountant Lu looked at him with bitter disappointment. What use is studying? In the end, you'll still have to come home and farm. There aren't that many jobs to go around. Lu Qingyan suddenly exploded. Lu Qingyi, standing beside him, was so startled that she stared blankly at her second brother, utterly at a loss. You're impossible to reason with. His second son had spoken the truth, and for a moment Accountant Lu couldn't argue back. He hurled the words over his shoulder, turned, and left. Dad! Dad! Behind him, only his youngest daughter Lu Qian's panicked cries remained. Having already walked quite a distance, Zhao Tianliang and the other man were completely unaware of the commotion in the Lu family. The Lu family's bicycle was a 28-inch crossbar model, top-notch for carrying people and goods. Donking a forest farm. With Li Yuanchao guiding the way, the two arrived at his uncle Wang Youtian's home. Uncle, are you home? Standing at the yard gate, Li Yuanchao hollered toward the house. Haha, is that you, Yuanchao? Not long after, a deep voice came from inside the house, followed by a tall man walking out. Wang Youtian, slightly hunchbacked. He wore faded army green sleeve covers and rubber boots. What caught Zhao Tianliang's attention was an ugly scar on his left cheek that looked like a burn. The man flashed a mouthful of yellow teeth. It really is you, Yuanchao. What brings you here? Uncle, can't I just come to see you when I've got nothing to do? I brought you something good today. Oh. Wang Youtian opened the courtyard gate for the two, then suddenly sniffed hard, and his eyes lit up. Good liquor. It's Xiaodong's special daku, isn't it? Zhao Tianliang was taken aback. His nose was way too sharp. The 2 bottles of wine in his basket hadn't even been opened yet. Master, I forgot to tell you my uncle is a cook at the forestry center. He became an apprentice at 15 and has been at it for nearly 30 years. His nose is incredible. There's no smell he can't pick out. Li Yuanchao said somewhat proudly, introducing Wang Youtian to Zhao Tianliang. It was indeed a skill worth being proud of. Wang Youtian looked at Zhao Tianliang. How had his nephew suddenly gained a master? The Zhao Tianliang before him was too young, no more than 20 or so. What could he possibly teach his nephew? Master Wang, hello? Let me introduce myself. My name is Zhao Tianliang, and I've only settled in Sheng'an Tun recently. His self-introduction didn't answer Wang Youtian's doubts. Instead, it made him even more curious about the young man's identity. Hello, Xiao Zhao. Any guest is a guest. Let's go inside and talk. As he walked into the inner room, Zhao Tianliang immediately spotted the gun hanging on the wall. A 16-gauge with a replacement barrel. Zhao Tianliang recognized the gun. It was a modified firearm. The original 16-gauge barrel had been swapped for a semi-automatic rifle barrel, allowing it to fire a larger caliber round. That is, 7.62 mm ammunition. However, even though the barrel had been replaced with a semi-automatic one, the gun was still a 16-gauge at heart and could not fire in rapid succession. Each shot could fire only a single round. After firing once, the empty cartridge had to be extracted and the gun reloaded. Zhao Tianliang's eyes had been fixed on the gun since he stepped through the door, which caught Wang Youtian's attention. Xiao Zhao, do you like guns? Zhao Tianliang nodded. Yes, I do. Before transmigrating, shooting had been not only his profession but also his hobby. Do you know how to use one? Yes. Wang Youtian pointed to the warm heated Kong. Xiao Zhao, come sit here, make yourself at home. After a couple of questions, Wang Youtian already had a good idea and stopped mentioning the guns. Xiao Zhao, from the look of you, you should be an educated youth from the city, right? All the other educated youths have gone back to the city. Why did you ask to settle in Sheng'an village? Zhao Tianliang's acting skills came into play. He sighed. Alas, it's a long story, Master Wang. Let me tell you slowly. Thereupon, he told Wang Youtian in detail what had happened to him. How unpredictable life is. That being said, wouldn't you have no relatives or connections here? A trace of compassion rose in Wang Youtian's heart. Zhao Tianliang shook his head, a bitter smile curling at the corners of his mouth. I can't say for sure. Maybe there are still relatives waiting for me, but I just can't remember. Li Yuanchao, who was always optimistic, couldn't help but feel a surge of sadness upon hearing those words. You've really had it rough, Master. Xiao Zhao, I've been to Sheng'an village. Most of the people there are decent. You should be able to fit in. Zhao Tianliang smiled with ease. Master Wang is right. People always have to look forward. I believe tomorrow will be even brighter. He lifted the cloth covering the basket. Master Wang, since this is my first visit, I prepared a few things. I wasn't sure what you'd like, so I hope you won't think little of them. Wang Youtian had already caught the scent of meat drifting from the basket long before. He had assumed the young man was going to take the goods home for himself. It never crossed his mind that they were for him, which left Wang Yutian a little surprised. "Oh, you child, you didn't need to bring any gifts, and this many at that?" A careful look told him in an instant what meat the basket held. Aside from the usual wild game, there were also 2 bottles of Zhaodong special Daka liquor and a can of malted milk powder, and a can of yellow peaches and syrup together. These were worth no small sum. Wang Yutian shook his head again, and again he couldn't possibly accept them. "Master Wang, you've probably already figured it out, so I won't beat around the bush. The real reason I asked Yuan Shao to bring me here today is to borrow a gun." Just as I suspected, Wang Yutian wore the expression of one who had long since guessed it, but soon, it gave way to a look of hesitation. Borrowing a gun isn't that easy. If something goes wrong, wouldn't it be too unfair if I got blamed? But out of the corner of his eye, he couldn't help glancing at the basket at his feet. But he really gave too much. Not to mention the Zhaodong special Daka liquor he loved. He gave 2 bottles at once. And besides the liquor, there was meat, malted milk powder, canned goods. These are all rare good things. How many times a year do ordinary families get to eat meat? And whether the malted milk and canned goods were gifted to someone else or kept for their own family, they were excellent. Even though he, Wang Yutian, was a cook at the forest farm and occasionally brought home leftovers from the unit, he still couldn't fill the bellies of the kids at home. Zhao Tianliang's gifts undoubtedly struck a chord in Wang Yotian's heart. His gaze shifted to Zhao Tianliang's face, where he was smiling slightly, his brow carrying an open and upright spirit that made people feel reliable for no apparent reason. Wang Yutian considered himself a good judge of character. With a decision already made in his heart, he put a smile on his face and said, "Little Zhao, you want to borrow a gun, right? That's easy to arrange, since Yuan Shao can call you master. As Yuan Shao's uncle, I naturally can't let my nephew down. However, you'll need to agree to 3 rules with me. There are some things we should make clear beforehand." "No problem, Master Wang. Whatever requirements you have, just say them. Let's put everything on the table." "Good. I, Wang Yutian, appreciate a straightforward young man like you." Wang Yutian walked over to the desk in the corner, tore off a sheet of paper, and picked up a pen. Then, using the Kong table as a writing surface, he gripped the pen in a less than standard manner and wrote down the terms of the agreement. First, the gun must not be used to harm people. It's only for hunting. Second, it cannot be lent to a third party. Third, the loan period is at most 2 months, and it must be returned on time when the term is up. Fourth, don't damage the gun. "Uncle, wasn't the agreement 3 rules? How many is this now?" Li Yuanshao teased, receiving a glare from Wang Yutian. Zhao Tianliang picked up the pen and signed his name. The terms Wang Yutian had raised were all basic requirements, nothing unreasonable. Besides, the other party was willing to lend it to him for 2 months at once, long enough for him to hunt enough wild game to buy a gun of his own. "Keep the IOU safe." Wang Yutian then took down the gun from its rack on the wall and handed it to Zhao Tianliang. "Ah, this gun was a gift from a fellow worker at the forestry center. It's been sitting here all these years, without ever having a chance to be used. Little Zhao, after I lend it to you, you must take good care of it." Wang Yutian stroked the gun, a trace of nostalgia in his eyes. Zhao Tianliang nodded solemnly. "Uncle, instead of letting it rot at home, you might as well give the gun to my master. In his hands, it will surely shine." Wang Yutian rolled his eyes, directly ignoring his dear nephew's suggestion. "This modified gun can still sell for 200 or 300 if I sold it. How could I just give it away?" "Hee, little Zhao, no need to rush off. Stay and have a meal." "Great. I've been craving your cooking for ages, uncle. Can't you stop butting in?" Wang Yutian really couldn't stand his beloved nephew. Couldn't he see that he was just being polite? Li Yuanshao grinned. "Uncle, show off your skills for my master. He hasn't tried your cooking yet." "Master Wang, if it's not convenient, it's convenient." "Of course it's convenient, little Zhao. Didn't I tell you? Treat this place as your own home." What else could Wang Yutian do? His nephew had put him on the spot. How could he possibly send his guests away now? Rolling up his sleeves, he brought out the meat Zhao Tianliang had given him from the basket. "Yuan Shao, entertain your master properly for me." Leaving that one line behind, Wang Yutian carried the ingredients into the kitchen. Only the master and apprentice pair remained in the room. "Master, as for my uncle, don't judge him by his tall, burly frame. He just loves to haggle with people, and sometimes that makes him come off a bit stingy. I hope you don't hold it against him, master. Apart from the stinginess, my uncle is a really good person. If he hadn't had the nerve to insist on staying for a meal, Uncle Wang Yutian really would have shown us the door." Zhao Tianliang shrugged. Times were hard for everyone these days. He could understand. "It's no matter. Honestly, going back to eat would have been just the same." "Master, Just wait until you've tried my uncle's cooking. Then you won't say that anymore." Seeing that his master wasn't upset, Li Yuanchao reverted to his usual self with a mischievous look on his face. The cheaply acquired apprentice's repeated praise of Wang Youtian's culinary skills stirred a hint of anticipation in Zhao Tianliang. But compared with the pleasures of the palate, the 16-gauge gun in his hands brought him an even stronger sense of joy. Zhao Tianliang's palm gently caressed the gun's body, his careful, reverent manner as if before him lay not a gun, but the beloved of his heart.